Welcome to Built for This, the podcast where purpose meets performance. Hosted by business strategist and human behavior specialist Carly Pepin, this show dives into the real stories behind high-growth businesses. Let's bring life to your vision.
Start the introduction for you as well. Okay, you're awesome. Hey guys, so welcome to Built for This podcast today. We have a really special guest today. This is going to be really cool. Don is very excited to share a significant amount of information. We have Don the Dragon Wilson, and he is one of the most accomplished kickboxers in history. So he's an 11-time world champion whose 4-decade career produced 72 wins and 47 knockouts. Known for defeating some of the most feared fighters of his era, he was named the greatest kickboxer in American history by Star System ratings and was inducted into the International Sports Hall of Fame in 2015. After being in the ring, Don also built a second career in film, starring in Blood Fist, Ring of Fire, and dozens of action films worldwide. He also served as a commentator in the early UFC era, helping introduce martial arts to mainstream audiences. Today, Don is recognized not only for his championship titles, but for the discipline, longevity, and mastery that shaped both of his careers. These principles that we will dive in today so we can help you as business owners and those looking to elevate your craft, your message, and your impact. So, I mean, we've already kind of started talking, and I was like, he's already giving so many valuable information. We're going to have a really great time. Thank you so much for coming, Don. I really appreciate this.
Well, you know what? I appreciate you asking me to be on, and this subject is exactly appropriate for somebody in my position, I believe, because I set goals as an athlete and I surpassed them. I set goals as an actor and I surpassed them. And I use the same techniques in both. And you would think those are two totally different areas of expertise, professional sports and entertainment. But reality is, I think, because myself and Chuck Norris and Arnold Schwarzenegger once got together at the Arnold Classic and broadcast a TV show. It was the first time martial arts competitions was offered by Arnold as his, he's got a event that goes on every year. They're called the Arnold Classic in Ohio. It's as big as the Olympics. It's humongous. It's worldwide. And he wanted to have a martial arts. So he asked me and Chuck Norris to do the first show to introduce it to his audience. So we did. But in every break, when they had break, because, you don't just turn the cameras on and nonstop talk. There are breaks. And in the breaks, all we talked about was the similarities between all three of us. Now, the time period this was happened is specifically relevant to what I'm talking about. It's the time period was Arnold had just done Terminator 2, and he was the highest paid movie actor in the world at the time. I believe it was 15 million.
Amazing.
Chuck Norris had not, I don't think, finished the first season of Walker, but it was already the #1 action series in the world, not just America. Friends is big in America, but I've been to the Cannes Film Festival and I saw the Friends go, people didn't even recognize who they were. But
Amazing.
It was a big hit. But things sometimes play stronger overseas than they do here, or weaker. It goes vice versa. And Chuck was known to be the #1 action star in the world. And just before I did this broadcast with Arnold, I had my picture in Time magazine for being one of the top 4 video stars in the world.
Yeah.
So now I don't know about Time now because, it's so diffuse, the media. But at that time, that's the most I could get being a video star is rated as one of the top 4 video stars in the world. And so we did the show together and we talked about all the similarities. How when you start something, if anybody's going to start a business, anybody wants to follow in my footsteps or somebody else who got successful somewhere, I believe this is a formula that works. People will tell you, don't try it. You never do it. It's because I told people I was going to quit my job, I had a great job, and quit college too, as an engineering major, to become a kickboxing champion. And all my closest friends, your family members will tell you, no, don't do that. There's no kickboxing champions coming from Cocoa Beach, Florida. I said, well, I'm the first one, which I was. Well, no, probably still am. I'm probably the only one to come out of there. But there's going to be naysayers, and the naysayers are not going to be your enemies. They're going to be your mother, your father, your brother, your best friend, your girlfriend, your wife, your sister. It's going to be the closest people because they don't want you to fail.
Mhm.
I had made a certain amount of money as a fighter, and I was going to invest it into a karate school. But instead, I said, no, you know what? Chuck Norris, one time, when first day I met him in his hotel room, he said, Don, my advice to you is to do your fight career. When you finish, come out to Hollywood, get an agent, take acting lessons, try a second career as an action star, martial art action star. Because Chuck looked at me and he goes, I did it. That's what Chuck and I were the only actors ever in the martial art realm who were famous worldwide before they did movies.
Yeah.
If Jean-Claude Van Damme had never done a movie, you wouldn't know his name. Steven Seagal had a small karate aikido school in Hollywood. That if he didn't do movies, he wouldn't be known all over the world. But Chuck and I were world famous before we did our first movies. So for our movies to get attention, we didn't have to do it's like Blood Fist was not Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
Not Academy Award nominated movie. But
people loved it.
Yeah, they knew my name already. I had never done a movie. And MGM bought it.
Yeah.
So when your first movie is released by MGM, when they slapped that studio, then the video that came out was released by them as well. And that was sold over 60,000 units, the first offering. And when, the video store, 30,000 retailers that own video stores, when they see that they'll be renting, boom, they go out and start buying the same movie. So I could really legitimately, I'm not a movie star. I'm a video star.
Yeah.
I started in the days of the videos, and like I said,
Cool.
I'm one of the top video stars. People would rent my movies, and I did up to 5 in 1 year.
Yeah.
I shot and released 5 movies. Now, Entertainment Weekly, the magazine, called me up and wanted to do an interview. And I said, well, why? And they go, well, you got a little Hollywood history. And I said, what history have I done? And she said, you're the only actor to start all the same genre too. Like Tom Cruise is not going to do 5 Mission Impossible.
Yep.
In 1 year. I mean, they're not, but I was there during the video era when every weekend, a Friday, the audience, the 30,000 video stores, audience would come there looking for their weekend movie. And if they're martial art fans, they'll rent a different one every week, as Walker, Texas Ranger proved to Chuck.
Yeah.
Was on every week. And I believe he got in the top 10 of all shows twice.
Yeah.
And he's got a horrible time slot. I think it was 10 o'clock Saturday night.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing, but it's the strength of the fan base.
Yep.
Well,
I'm curious as well, because like as you were talking about this too. You said there's the method to the madness, the formula you use, Chuck used, Arnold used. Like, tell me more about the formula that you use to do all those things.
Okay. The very first thing, when you decide you're going to dedicate yourself and commit yourself to something, is you got to do your research. Read everything about it. Learn as much as you can about it. And I'm not just saying I was, Roger Corman advised me this. He said, Don, don't just memorize your lines and do them on the set and then go home. He said, watch the lighting, see how they light. Watch the director of photography, how he book what lenses he uses, a camera. Ask questions, learn as much as you can. He said, it will help you in the end. And I said, well, how's it going to help me in acting? And he said, well, Don, at this budget, the budget you work at, you could do a really, really bad movie. He said, if you do that, it's going to hurt what I'm trying to do with you. So you need to put in your contracts, not more money, more control. And I said, how do I do that? And he said, co-produce the movies. That means you have say-so, what they call mutual approval. You understand mutual approval. I can't tell Joe or Rick they have to do something, but yet they can't tell me, Don, you have to do this love scene. You have to do that. In other words, we have to mutually approve on the script, and then mutually approve on the director, mutually approve on the final cut. And I put that in all my contracts. And it's not because I'm a megalomaniac. I just want to, walk around and be the big boss on the set. It's just the opposite. I know it's a group effort. And if anything, Rick and Joe would kind of chastise me a little bit for being too generous to the extras and to the other actors because I remember one time your dad got me a big Winnebago.
Yeah.
To do, I think it was Cybertracker or Cybertracker 2.
Oh, that was one of my favorites, by the way.
Okay.
That was epic.
That day, the weather was kind of bad outside. And I looked outside and I saw some of my friends. They were martial artists who I respected. In martial arts, there's a hierarchy. These are guys more degrees than I have, more fame in the martial arts than I have. And they're standing out in the bad weather. And the wind is blowing water on them. And I opened up a trailer. I said, "Oh, come on!" Everybody came in there, and at what point somebody, it's probably was Joe. He said, "You shouldn't do that. That's for you. You're special." He said, "Don, everybody on the set has a job because you signed the contract to make this movie." So he said, "Sometimes it's going to be too hot outside, or they're going to be rained on. It's going to be cold." He said, "But you're going to be taken care of in this Winnebago or this big trailer that they got for me." Because I signed to do the movie, and then they're gonna sell. I'm sure that they made pretty good money on Ring of Fire, the first one I did.
Yeah,
because they really didn't distribute it at the time. They sold it to a bigger distribution company.
Yep.
And the only reason they would do that is because the amount they got satisfied them, as far as that's the profit they would be satisfied with.
Yeah.
They didn't sell my movies because they were going to lose money on them. They sold them because the profit they would get is satisfactory for their company.
Yeah. Oh no, that's amazing. It's really interesting because as you're talking about this dynamic, when he's talking about Rick and Jokes, we haven't mentioned that's PM Entertainment, because I know you did lots of films with PM, and we did an interview with Joe, which was really fun, and unfortunately we won't get my dad on board because he's passed, but yeah, I had to have this is a great opportunity, but it's a really cool thing to look at, that dynamic of studying everything and diving in and having this level of control, but not too much. So I think what's interesting, and maybe this is also something that comes with sports. I find that sometimes with sports and martial arts, there's almost a lot of mindset that comes with it. But as you're speaking, you're saying I don't need to be this great grand figure, but you're also able to acknowledge that you have achieved all these things. So what is it about the mindset that helps you to not have too much super ego here and get too high on your own supply, in a sense?
Well, here's the thing with the don't believe your own press.
Yeah, I like that one.
But for athletes, it's like this though. There's a certain amount of ego that I have to, when I step in the ring, and for 10 years I was a light heavyweight champion. And the bare minimum a fighter has to do is you have to fight the number one contender once every year. Now you can make money fights, but I fought 10 times in 1 year. That's how much money I was. That's how greedy I was as a world champion. But that person's ego tells him that he steps in the ring and he says, "Don Wilson's got the world title, but I'm better than him. That belt should be around my waist, and I'm going to prove it to him." On the other side of the ring, have to be thinking, I'm the best light heavyweight kickboxer in the world. And I'm going to show this guy that I'm right and not him. Mm-hmm. So ego is not necessarily a negative thing, but it's control. What if my ego was so big that I thought, you know what, I'm so much better than everybody else. I don't even have to run this for this fight. I don't have to run 6 miles every day for the next 6 weeks. In other words, when ego becomes negative is when it's overdone. When it encourages you to work less hard than you should for whatever goal it is. When I want to be an actor, Chuck Norris is the one who told me to do it. Now, he gave me that advice after one of my fights. I went to his hotel room. He said, "Don, you should think about it." And he said, "Take acting lessons." So I started, when I came to LA to be an actor, I enrolled in several different acting classes. And I will have to say that I'm not a talented actor, because Johnny Depp used to be, from what I understand, he was like a construction worker. Like he did drywall or something, And the first audition he got, and he was great in it. It was Jump Street, that jump thing. Well, some guys can do that. They don't need to take any acting lessons. They just natural talent. It's not me.
Man.
Everything I had to learn was exactly the opposite of what I did in fighting. In fighting, you don't show emotion, you hide it. You even hide fear, you hide insecurity, you hide pain. If your opponent hits you in the body and you go, believe me, you're going to get hit right in the same spot. So so it's not like my athletic career prepared me to become an actor. If that was true, how many other kickboxers have there been? Thousands? How many of them starred in 30 Hollywood movies?
Not many.
Well,
one is, it's not many.
Kickboxing, there's some people who, when they don't know the business, they say, oh, you became an action star because you're a world champion. I said, well, where are the other world champions? They'd all be action stars. I will say that it got me my first movie, which was with the Blood Fist.
Yeah.
Because Jean-Claude Van Damme they advertised Canon Films that he was the undefeated middleweight champion of the world. And I will admit this, he is undefeated. When you've never had a pro fight, you got no losses. You have no losses on your record. My mother was undefeated. She's the undefeated grandmother kickboxer in the world because she's got losses.
Yeah.
But I was a world champion, and I was accidentally called in. This is how luck plays in my life, because it can't take credit. And I would say most of my success is luck. So people can count on luck too. Be positive thinking. Say, you know what? If Don Wilson could get lucky breaks, I can in this as well.
Well, I think also it's not just the lucky breaks. I think we all get lucky breaks, but it's what you've done with it, because if we get a lucky break and we don't utilize it to the best of our abilities, like, then it's just
squander it.
Yeah, we just squander it.
I have a friend. I just did an interview for a documentary. They're doing a European he's an actor. I'm not going to say his name. But we don't do that in the film business. He's an A-list, one of the most talented actors. At one time, he probably was the hottest guy in Hollywood. And he upended his career.
Yep.
And not because bad performances and box office flops or anything. It was because of his persona on the set. I had one actor tell me, and this is an actor I knew personally as a friend, and I tried to help him. In fact, he did work for PM. If you think, you may even figure out who he is, but I'm not going to say his name. But he was causing problems from Joe and Rick on the set.
Yeah.
And I said, and I got him the job, and I introduced him to him. I put him in one of my movies. He did a great job as an actor. He looked at me in the eye. He said, Don, if you want to be treated like a star, you have to act like a star. So
no.
In his mind, acting like a star is not accepting the fact that it takes a team. We're a team there trying to make a movie. You know what? Shelley Winters, you're not old enough to know her, but
I actually do remember her.
And I saw an interview, and she worked with Roger Corman.
Yep. And
she was talking about Roger Corman. He goes, on a Roger Corman movie, the budget is so low. You feel like a group of people on a shipwreck. The ship is going under, and you're trying to make it to shore. She said, so we're all in the ship together. If we don't get to shore, we're going to sink and drown together. But if we get to shore, we all succeed together. She said, on a Roger Corman movie, that's how it is. We're all trying to make a good movie with the money they have, with the budget, with the dealing with the weather, and and I found that to be true in many independent films. That's the business for independent films. Now, I worked on Batman Forever. That was the biggest, highest grossing movie of the year for Warner Bros. So I know the difference, though. Yeah. I know when they have more money, as a matter of fact, they have to spend more than they actually need to. There's a financial reason why they need to put the money that is set aside and spend it on the Warner Brothers lot.
Yeah.
And yes, so I've seen it, and I'm not comfortable with that kind of filmmaking. I'm comfortable with the kind of filmmaking me and your dad did, and Joe, that every penny goes on the screen, and we're all emotionally
invested.
On the job. It's not just punching the time clock and whatever happens. No, we're all trying to make a good movie and successful movie, because I want both. I don't want to win a film festival and then have it bomb at Cannes.
Yeah.
Couldn't get to make a sale. No, I do want people to appreciate the quality of it, but it's got to make a profit. And that's why that's my first goal when I commit to / co-producing and starring in a movie is I'm going to make sure we do all the things right so that we make a profit for the producer.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, I love this dynamic too as you're sharing it is it's about working together as a team, right? It's not about us as like that solo individual. I worked for a celebrity and fashion photographer for a while. So I've seen the difference between those personality types where like there's some amazing ones. Adrian Brody was amazing. Macy Gray is 5-star. Thank you if she ever hears any of this at the time. Like to be the individual at the office that she remembers like every time. It makes a difference and you work differently. And we felt more like a team in all those different dynamics where some of them, they had that facade of we are the celebrity, we are the star, and we need to be treated that way. And funny enough, they weren't treated that way solely because like nobody wants to be around them, and I think that we forget that the authenticity part, like just being yourself, being who you are, is actually what gets us the most engaged in the project, in the dynamic, and helping others succeed, including the person who is whether it be the star or the producer or anything. And so I love that you're sharing like that teamwork dynamic and how you create that on set, because people do it in businesses as well.
Yes. Carly, I apologize. I have a little tiny dog, my wife's dog.
Oh.
It's in my office right now, and it looked at the door a couple of times. I think I have to open it and let it out. It may have
Again,
something.
we're perfect. We'll pause and then we'll come right back with Dawn.
Pause right now, and I'm going to be right back.
Okay, we're back. Life is life. So welcome back, Dawn.
Yeah, so I think as well, like we've heard some of the parameters, like one of them is definitely, is this film going to make a profit for the producer? Is it going to be something that is going to be successful? What are some of the other parameters that you've put in place to make sure that you're choosing the right roles? Because one thing that you shared with me before we even started recording was that all the films that you've been in have been successful. So that's really cool. Like, what are those parameters? What do they look like? Because it's almost like you measure a business. It's like your KPIs.
Well, Roger Corman was the first guy to recognize that that I had a certain ability to make money making movies. Because, like I said, I did more with him than any other actor ever. 12 movies. I am the audience. I'm making the movie for martial arts action fans, and I'm a martial artist, lifelong martial artist, former world champion. So I try to figure out what my audience wants, but it's mainly the kind of things that I like. And Roger Corman had a formula where he said, and these are probably 4 of my most successful films. He said, Don, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. He said, studios make movies and they make blockbusters. He said, if you do a movie similar to a blockbuster, but don't do it so similar you get sued. He said, there's an audience that likes that story because it's the story, right? It's the story.
Yeah.
So the 4 HBO world premieres that I had, and one of them, the first one was for Ring of Fire, not Ring of Fire. It was for Joe and Rick. It was Out for Blood.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had done a couple of movies with them and they came to me and they said, Don, do you have a movie you want to do? Do you have a project? Because I guess they didn't have something on the top of their heads to think about. So I said, yeah. I said, Charles Bronson did a thing called Death Wish. And it was big money for Canon Films. And I said, I want to do something like that where it justifies the martial arts. Somebody murders my family, you're going to want revenge. If you don't get it from the police, because we also put a little theme in there that I think my character says it's 18 months and you don't even have a lead of who killed my family. And so I did co-produce 4 of the movies based on 4 movies that one was Death Wish. One was, if you ever saw a movie called Blade Runner, I did it. Mine was called Grid Runner. But turned out that there was a video game called Grid Runner in America, and I couldn't use that title. So it was called Virtual Combat. But then there was a movie called Under Siege by Seagal.
Mm-hmm.
I did Ground Zero for Roger Corman. It was an HBO world premiere. The first one I did for Roger Corman was my concept. And then Andrew Stevens came to me, and he ended up starting a company, the biggest independent company in the world. And I believe Joseph worked for them, is franchise film. But before franchise, he came to me and said, hey, I want to produce a movie. What should we do? And I said, well, you know what? I like Blade Runner. Why don't we do a ripoff of that? And that sold to HBO. So the 4 HBO world premieres I got were all my original concepts. But I'm telling you, hopefully, I don't think they're going to want to sue me, but I took those ideas from 4 other movies.
Yeah.
You know, from highly successful movies, though, because Corman did that with when Jurassic Park came out. Roger saw this T-Rex, and he immediately got his producers together. They slapped together a script. It's probably one of the worst movies he's ever made. It was the highest grossing movie that year, direct to video.
Amazing.
It's called Carnosaur. And the video box, look, the video box had a T-Rex head on it. So Spielberg has, I think, was Spielberg the first Jurassic Park, the director?
I think so. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, Jurassic Park was in theaters, and Roger has Carnosaur with a dinosaur. And you think it's a coincidence that it was the highest grossing direct video at the time? I don't think so. I think he planned it, and it worked perfectly. He got it out there while the other one was still. Now, the movies I was copying were years old. They had already come and gone. As a matter of fact, I believe that my old movies being remade today would be a hit, because I'm not just guessing. They're one of the most, well, at the time, it was the most successful digital download in the history of film.
Mhm.
It was a remake of Roadhouse, which was Patrick Swayze, but this one had Jake Gyllenhaal was the star, and they got this MMA guy, Conor McGregor, to be the bad guy. And he is kind of a bad guy, you know, in the fight game. And that movie got 50 million hits when it was released.
That's amazing.
#1 in the history of digital download. Now, it's not original. Well, it's never going to be nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah.
But those are the kind of movies I make, and it's kind of things I do. If something, you know, I've got ideas right now for movies. I've got good, and I'm doing what I did with Roger and with Joe and Rick. I kind of combine movies that I've seen in the past into a conglomeration. I'm sure they came up with because it wasn't my concept. Rick and Joe came up with Cybertracker because of the success of
Terminator. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. It's a robot.
We were all very excited about that.
Well, you know what? You know, my last film for PM was Cybertracker 2. Do you know that was a movie I did not want to make?
Oh, really?
I don't know. Well, it had nothing to do with Rick. It had to do with the concept. It did not originate from the filmmakers. Did not come from Joe, me, or Rick. It came from the distributor. He said, I wanted to do a movie like X-Men, where there's a group of supernatural people. They're supernatural in the sense of genetically engineered, cyber, you know, some mechanical parts. Anyway, I wanted to create a group thing that I'd have to fight. And before X-Men came out, so it was originally my idea, but it was meant in my mind it was going to be like the X-Men. And it was all shut down. Oh, George Chamay is his name. Nice guy.
I remember
And
George.
a great distributor. He came in and he said, robots worked first time, robots will work another time. And he got rid of so I went to Joe and Rick, and I said, you know, I really don't like the story and everything. It's kind of a redo of but I said, I'll do it. If you guys want to invest the money in it, I'll do it. And actually my audience, like if you hired Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris to be starring in a movie, and they basically just walk around with a gun and shoot people, it's not what the audience wants to see. And you know, sex in my movies, like with Ring of Fire, there's nudity and all that. Bruce Lee is the most successful movie star in my genre, martial arts.
Yep.
He never had one love scene.
Yep.
Not one. No. And Chuck Norris, no love. He's probably the second most famous martial arts flash actor.
Basically, I know your audience.
And a lot of guys do rear nudity. Men don't do the frontal nudity, but they do rear. Nobody wants to see Steven Seagal's rear end. But I mean, but the most of them, I think Van Damme's done it though. Van Damme's done it. But and I'm not saying it's wrong for an actor to do that, but I've been asked to do it in films.
Yeah.
Real nudity. And I literally, this is my standard line. I probably have a horrible reputation to directors. If you get directors on your show, they'll probably just badmouth me. And the director said, yes, John, listen, I'm writing this in myself. I want, it's not a sex scene. You're going to be in a whirlpool. You're going to reach for a towel, and then we're going to show the rear nudity. And I looked at the director and I said, you know what? Because this is the video days. I said, they rent these videos to see me kick ass, not to see my ass. And I said, that scene is not being shot. I said, no. And yeah, usually when you refuse things like that with directors, that's the last time you work with them.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I can't think of any director that ever got me a job anywhere. The producers come directly to me and ask me, they give me the script
to participate.
Then they bring a director and they sell them on me, or I bring my own directors. Many times I brought my own directors. And the director makes the movie, not me. And any business that you go, you got to delegate authority.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the one to know how to do every job better than everybody else. Just because you're called the star of the movie, your name's above the title. I don't know anything about lighting the movie. I don't know anything about sound. I don't know about picking the right music. No, I know about the fight scenes, and I did have in my contracts with Rick and Joe as well, although never had to be enforced. Final cut on the fight scenes.
Yeah. Those were important to you. It's what you knew the best.
My expertise is the martial arts. So if I throw a kid,
100%.
there's certain things I could do that are wrong that you would not notice are wrong. Like my hip might be turned a little bit too this way, or one hand was down, it should be up. Certain things that martial arts will see and know it's wrong.
Yeah.
And the editor wouldn't know it. And that's the only kind of positioning I put myself in where I said, no, you know what? That take where I throw that kick and my hand comes way down like that. I said that's any green belt would have done it the right way. And I said, so I don't want the hardcore fan is the actual martial arts experts watching my movie. And you don't want a reputation of doing that. And I think Joe and Rick knew that when it comes to the fight scenes,
you knew it.
I would know which take should be in the movie and which one should be avoided. And they allowed me that privilege to go into the editing rooms and cut my own fight scenes.
Yeah.
But all the rest,
that's awesome. I feel like you touched on
Hey everyone, it's Carly. If you're really resonating with what we're talking about and want to get clear on what truly drives you, what your core values are, head on over to my website. In the tools and tips section, there is a free values assessment. And this is a quick exercise that's going to help you to uncover what actually matters most with you so you can lead and live with more clarity, fulfillment, and momentum.
Yeah, I feel like you touched on a lot of really important things. One thing I want to refine and just reframe is something that you shared is that we don't have to reinvent the wheel, where everyone keeps trying to reinvent the wheel, be the 1% of the 1% of the 1%, but you can have an amazing career. You can have so much fun. You can make such an impact by also just taking what's already great out there and doing similar things. I think that's just an amazing reminder to everyone.
It is, because things are a formulaic before a reason.
Yes.
The reason why you see certain things repeated in films, in books, in storylines, let's say good guy, bad guy loses. If good guy, bad guy wins, that's not going to make as much money. If like at the end of Lethal Weapon, the bad guy walks out of the door and Mel Gibson's there.
I'm like, no.
Well, there's a reason why the hero always wins. You know? And so formulas become formulas because they work. Now, you will not win a film festival if you do a formulaic film. They want you to take chances and do things over the top or do them so subtle. Only other filmmakers will see what the message you're even saying.
Yeah.
That works in film festivals. But it doesn't bring in it doesn't put the seats or the butts in the seats in movies. There is kind of formulaic filmmaking, and I believe PM figured that out.
They
Certain
did.
amount of action is required, certain amount of car chases, certain amount of shootouts. And when it comes to me, imagine if you well, I know this. I was in England shooting a movie for a French producer last year, and the guy who put all the money in the movie, I met him on this day. It was my last day on the shoot. He came to thank me for being in the movie, and he sees the fight scene. They choreographed the fight scene. The local, and nothing against them, because I think they did it because they said, look, he's 71 years old. Don't put any kicks in there. He probably can't even get his foot up. So I had my fight scene, the final fight scene for me, there's no kicking.
Yep.
And the guy who saw that, he goes, you got to throw a kick, you got to throw. And they'd already shot everything. They're going to do a couple more takes. I said, okay, look, I'm going to finish you. I went to the actor because he's in his mid 50s. And nobody, he's not used to guys throwing their feet at his face. So I know he's looking at me and he's nervous. And if you ask people behind the scenes about Van Damme and Seagal, they've hurt people. Look, guys get hurt. Sometimes they lean forward when you're throwing a kick and you can't stop it. Things can happen. So I could see the guy was nervous. And I told him, don't worry. I said, this is the only thing I really know how to do. I'm going to throw this kick at your face. It's not going to touch you. So don't worry. Just react to it. When you see it, go down. And he did a great job. Perfect. He was a dancer. And in England, we were shooting in England. In England, they still come from the theater to the film and TV business. But, here, that happened in the 50s, maybe the 60s, 70s, maybe. Dustin Hoffman, De Niro, Brando, all the old-time guys, they started in theater, then became commercially big in TV or film. And they still do that in England because I just experienced it, a year ago when I shot there. TV stars, they all want to do movies. So they were all in my movie. And I don't think the average TV star, and this guy's, he's a real talented actor too, really talented, are used to having some guy, it was a sidekick, which my kick I'm famous for, go right at his face and stop.
Yeah.
Like right there.
Yeah, but because we don't want him to have the scared look on his face. He's the main bad guy. But it was perfect though. And I think because he was theater, I think he had studied dance because he was kind of coordinated. Yeah. He threw himself back. They put a big mat back there, and now action. We shoot it in like series, and he goes flying back, and we cut it, and it totally worked. And but anyway, when you're, I think, going into anything that you want to do, you have to don't listen to the naysayers, believe in yourself, get as much information as you can from every angle. Don't just the one job you're doing. You say, well, I'm going to find out about that. No, just keep your eyes and ears open for any information about whatever, whether you're going to go into clothing sales or real estate or whatever your expertise you need. You got to go there and get it. You got that. To me, it's a requirement. And Chuck did it. Schwarzenegger did it.
Yeah.
And I did it. We went for
I love
sport,
it.
entertainment.
Yeah, I love this. I want to dive into just even the fact of building mastery, right? Because you have also, like you said, you were famous in your industry in martial arts before you were even known in the movie industry. So what does that look like for you on how you sustain that level of mastery, how you even expand upon it? Because even for me, when I think of mastery, it never ends, it's like a never ending Never ending goal.
Carly, when I have when I have a free time, I have a boxing gym, less than a mile from my house, probably a half mile from my house, and the keys so I can go in any time, 24 hours a day to hit the bag. Because the only thing I need to do, I don't need to learn anything. I just need to keep my body physically able to do what I already know how to do. So I just punch and kick a heavy bag. And that's the high point of my day. It is not like, oh, I've got a fight come up, I have to go. No, I just love doing it. I can't even explain why. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Every other sport I did, I was the MVP of the high school football team when I played high school football. I was the MVP of the basketball team when I played basketball in high school. I ran track. I went out for wrestling. Never wrestled in high school. Went out for wrestling, got on the wrestling team in college and wrestled 2 years. And I was fourth in the state of Florida the second year.
Yeah.
I use the same thing. I learn everything you can about it. One thing I think people do this and they fail.
Mm-hmm.
They give up too fast.
Agreed.
The negative things that happen to you, like I get an injury. Oh, I should just get out of it. My right ankle is hurting me. No. My ankles had to be taped up every day in high school.
Yep.
When I was a senior, I got away with 2 years of high school football and everything without hurting. But by the time I was a senior, my ankles were bad. So the bad things are not reasons for you to get out of something. I didn't block every punch that was thrown at me. Few of them got in. I fought for 28 years. And I'm in the Guinness Book of World Records because no kickboxer has ever won 11 world titles. But I should be in probably for lasting longer than any other fighter because I started as a pro as 1974 and my last pro fight was 2002. That's 28 years of getting in the ring where my profession was, I'm trying to knock the guy out. He's trying to knock me out.
Yeah.
We can hit each other with the elbows. We can hit knees. We kick. We fight barefoot. It's a rough striking sport. And I worked on. Oh,
You're back.
I don't know what happened. Are you there?
Yes, we
Am
just
I
lost you
there?
for. Yeah, you're good. We lost you for 1 second, but you said I worked on, and then we lost you there.
Oh, but can you see me though? Still?
Yes.
Because the image where I was on myself is now gone. It just clicked off.
Oh, I can fully see you. Yes.
Okay, well then you're recording then. Okay, good. I don't need to see myself. I know what I look like. But yeah, I think that's a formula because I talked to Bill and Arnold. Like I said, they look. First of all, usually life moves in increments. In other words, when you start martial arts, first thing you're a white belt, then you get your yellow belt, then you get a green belt, then you get a brown belt, then you finally get the black belt. It's not. We can't all be Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage actually introduced him to his agent. I don't know if you know the story. Well, I don't want to get into it. It's their story. Maybe they can tell it. But anyway, first audition, 21 Drum Street, he gets it.
Yeah.
And then, as they say in Hollywood, the rest is history. Now, that's pretty darn rare, though, because usually you got to take the lessons, you got to learn, you got to start small roles, you work your way up. Finally, you've got the, I don't know what you've got the persona to carry a movie where you're the main character and it's all about you and every other character is just peripheral around what's going to happen to you. Are you going to succeed or not in this movie? And then the audience has got to care if you do, right? They got to care if you succeed or not. So usually it's a long process. Like I said, first of all, when they called me for Blood Fist, it was because Van Damme, Canon Films lied and said he was a world champion kickboxer. So Roger Corman wanted to do kind of a similar movie to Bloodsport. So he said to his casting director, because I got to know him afterwards, he said, I want to get a world champion kickboxer. So he calls up the karate magazines and says, are there any world champion kickboxers in LA? Because Roger doesn't want to pay for flying people into audition. I think Joe and Rick will say the same thing. I don't want to fly anybody from somewhere. Just get me somebody in LA who is a world champion kickboxer. And I walked in, and when he saw my face, casting director said, "Oh, Mr. Wilson, I apologize for calling you in because this is for Caucasian lead. And the brother's already been hired. So you can't be the lead of this movie. But look, I'm sorry we called you in. You're not going to waste your time because I'll read you and maybe you can be a bad guy in the movie." So it's a courtesy read. But I realized after working with Roger for 12 movies, I realized the guy was lying to me. If Roger wanted an Asian looking guy, he would never fly one from LA.
Yeah.
He would just hire a local Filipino. So he was giving me what's called a courtesy read, just so I feel like I didn't waste my time, because his studio was in Brentwood. But I lived in Beverly Hills at the time, so it was like a 3-minute drive. So here's what happens. I read the scene, because I've been asked by other people in Hollywood, producers, directors, and actors, what scene did you do, audition, that got you the lead of Roger Corman's movie Bloodfest? The scene is the only one I have ever done well. Because I was out here 2 years before I got hired ever. But yes, I was a terrible actor. I was bad. I was just horrible. But this is what the scene was. My brother was my martial art instructor. He's a year and a half older than me. He was my manager as a fighter. We're very close. So John Cusack, who's a friend of mine, I knew him before I was trying to be an actor. I trained him for Say Anything. If you ever saw that movie, he played a kickboxer. Well, I was a trainer. In fact, I broke his nose in the movie. I throw a kick and break his nose. Anyway, John Cusack said, "Don, you know what? You want to be an actor." He goes, "But," he says, "you're not going to be a character actor." He said, "You're pretty interesting. You just got to be believable. Just be yourself and be believable." So I looked at the script sides and I'm reading it. It says, "You go to the Philippines to find the guy who killed your brother. And your brother was fighting in a tournament. So you enter the tournament because you know it's got to be one of the fighters. And you have to hire a trainer to train you in this competition. So you hire one. And it's the moment you find out your trainer killed your brother.
Yeah.
You've been with the entire time, killed. And so I did what John Cusack said. He said, what if School of Acting? And I said, what's that? He said, what if it happened to you?
Mm-hmm.
So I tell people that my Hollywood story is this. The break I got was, it was the only scene I have ever done with any conviction. And my game face came on because Roger's watching me and he stopped me after I did 3 or 4 lines. And he handed me the script of Bloodfest and said, "You leave in 2 weeks." Amazing. He made his money up right on the spot.
Yeah.
That moment. And I tell people, experienced actors have asked me how I got that part. I said, I fooled Roger Corman. He thought I could act. I fooled him. But look, you know what he did was, after he hired me a acting coach, personal coach, a woman that he trusted. And I don't know what he said to her, but she was good. Now looking back, that's 40 years ago. Yeah, but this was in 88. And so in 1988, I think about all the things she said about my character and how to feel. And well, Chris Penn once told me, he said, "Don, you got to loosen yourself up so that you can feel an emotion of some kind in every scene you're in." It's just like in life. You're worried about something, you're happy about something, you're nervous about, you have emotions going through you all the time. And he said, you got to pick and choose the emotions. Now the director's supposed to direct you. He says, "No, you're coming on too aggressive. Just hold it back a little bit. And then at the very end of it, yell at her." In other words, director is supposed to direct our performance. But he said, you got to show up on the set prepared and open enough to feel things on camera, feel emotions. And after 40 years, I'm ashamed to say that's only happened to me a few times where I actually
feel it.
Was in what they call in the moment, where I didn't even know the cameras were there. I didn't know I'm in wardrobe. I don't know where I actually I had memorized the lines or rehearsed it so much that it felt like my own words. As a matter of fact, Sean Penn said, he said, "Look, Don, as soon as you get a script," he goes, you don't memorize from the script." I go, "Why?" He goes, "Some guy sitting in his office is typing on a type. That's not you. He said, take a pencil or a pen and paper and write all your dialogue out yourself. And he said, over and over, he said, you can never do it too much. You just keep writing your dialogue. And he said, that makes it your words.
Oh, that's interesting.
This is from Sean Penn, and he was not a slouch. He says it's no longer just the guy typing in his office, the writer of the script. It's you're writing and you own them and they become more personal to you. I don't know. It's just so I do that with my lines. I started doing it early on, and I write them over and over. And I'm no Sean Penn.
Yeah. No, I love that though.
I use the technique from him.
Yeah.
So you got to be, when you're trying to do anything, you've got to be open to the suggestions of the other successful people.
Yes.
And that's how you learn, right? I mean, if you're getting into real estate business or something like Joe's done some you go to a real estate guy who's been successful.
Who's done well. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. And who's done well.
There's nothing wrong with emulating success.
Yeah.
No?
Absolutely.
There's nothing.
And
yeah.
This is a really cool one too, because even as you're saying it, there is that dynamic where we emulate success to like have the same amount of achievement in our own life, because we're using these tools, like you said, that genuinely work. But where are you able to basically keep it separated from over emulating, where it becomes an inauthentic version of you, versus emulating and holding on to like who Dawn is, how you show up, because that's also part of why your career is successful, is you being you, making sure you know your fans, you know your market, you know your niche, you're paying attention to your customer base, you're giving them what they want on screen, but simultaneously emulation is there without overdoing it.
Well, you don't try to, I don't think it is necessarily a key to success is that you copy other people. Like every martial art action star, because that's my real thing. I don't really know about love stories and horror stories and all, but in the martial art genre, my fight scenes are choreographed more realistically than other guys. Because when you throw a punch, like nothing against Jackie Chan, he's wonderful. He's a superstar. All of the stuff he does would never work in real life.
Yeah,
it would never. I told my choreographer, Art Camacho did most of my movies, but I've used many different choreographers. I said, I don't want to throw a technique in a movie that if I did it in real life, it wouldn't do damage.
Yeah.
Jackie Chan will do a bunch of stuff and it's none of that works. So, and I use real combinations like, people pick, and I've done the other side of it either, that I've done stuff just because it looks good.
Yes.
I know the camera's low. If I throw a kick up here, this is going to look good on camera. So I've done that, but I've not made a career out of it. Most of the fight action you see me do, I view combinations. Like, it's very unrealistic for me to stand there, look at the bad guy and throw one punch and then he's out. Those combinations. And the most basic combination is 2 to the body, 1 to the head. 2 to the head, 1 to the body. I teach that to pro fighters. Yeah. You go bop, bop, and then drop down to the body. Now, I've used that in films. And I don't know, it's all subliminal. A lot of things are subliminal, whether you like it or not. You watch 90 minutes of one of my movies and either you have a good feeling or you have a bad. You're going to have one or the other, right? You're going to go, oh, wow, that was kind of interesting. Or you're going to say, oh, man, I was bored. I couldn't even sit through half of it. It's one or the other. And you just got to, for your own choice, I cater my fight scenes to me. I like I said, I throw techniques I believe would do damage in real life, not just movie life. And I had a guy tell me once, Mr. Wilson, I pattern all my self-defense techniques after your movies. I said, don't ever do that. I said, that's a movie. It's not me teaching self-defense. I've given self-defense seminars, but I don't do movie stuff. Look, sometimes in the movies, we will do, they want me to throw a jump kick. There's never a reason for any guy in self-defense to jump up in the air. Yeah. If you can hit him with that guy's got no defense, obviously, because I'm now jumping up in the air and I can hit him on the ground. But it looks good on movies.
Yeah,
I can't deny it. And look, Bruce Lee did the same thing. he didn't just do his fight scenes like self-defense techniques. He jumped through jump kicks and spin kicks. We all do it, and I do it, but predominantly my fights look a little more realistic, I believe, than, well, Matrix is not supposed to actually look realistic, though. That is true, though. That's like
fair.
a virtual world. He's supposed to be able to jump 20 feet straight up in the air and all that.
Yeah.
So they're not trying to, but it's a different kind of entertainment. It is entertainment, but it's a different kind of entertainment than mine. I'm not trying to do that kind of entertainment. I'm trying to use martial art techniques for my character that somewhat practical, somewhat realistic.
Yeah. And
but
what
still theatrical, still dramatic.
dramatic.
Yeah.
What made you decide to take that route? Like, as opposed to going the other route where you could make it more dramatic, you could make it more theatrical, but like, what made you chose like to actually have it realistic? Like, this is what a fight would look like.
Well, if it was 100% full bore realistic, you would never watch my movies.
It would probably be boring, huh?
No, because they asked Bruce, I'm a big Bruce Lee fan. They asked Bruce Lee, what is your most effective technique? And he goes, think jabs to the eyes.
Oh, yes.
Why
That
should
is true.
if I can land a right cross, I could put my hands right in his eyes and scratch him, and his eyes, well, what you would see is a bunch of bad guys running around with blindfolds on. You know? In other words, if I just went for their eyes all the time. The other thing is this. Men, not women, men have a vulnerable part of their body.
Facts.
Well,
Yes.
when we fight, we wear cuffs to protect it because it's vulnerable. Every kick would be eliminated. I just use my knee. It's right there at the groin. And and also, if you're wrestling a guy, grappling, I was a wrestler in college as well. Took 4th in the state of Florida, intercollegiate wrestling. You can grab a guy's groin. Now that does not look cinematic. And I have no desire to be grabbing the groins of a bunch of stuntmen. but I'm not saying it's not a technique you might use one time, or I think Van Damme hit guys in the groin before. I mean, I've kneed him in the groin. I kicked a guy in the groin in one movie. I did the opening fight scene because he was pimping a young girl.
Yeah.
And so I kicked him right in the groin. Anyway, I would be known as the groin martial artist if I did that. Just
That is true. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not so realistic that I say it's got to be just like self-defense techniques. No, we're making a movie. Hey, look, Clint Eastwood, when he shoots a gun and he's playing Dirty Harry or something, he never misses. Well, that's not really realistic, right? But it's a movie, and we wouldn't like it if Dirty Harry shot 3 times. He missed all 3 times. The bad guy got in his car, drove away. It just, yeah. As the movie, my movies are my movies. I try to make a little more realistic than the other guys, but I'm not. Understand it's entertainment. It's not reality. So I understand my audience wants to see me head kicks, jump, spinning back kicks.
Yeah.
So I do it.
Amazing.
Hey everyone, it's Carly. So if this conversation is really hitting home and you want to get a real snapshot of what's working and what's not in your business, head on over to my website in the tools and tips section, and you can have the business performance health check. In just about 15 minutes, you're going to see where the friction is and where your next growth opportunity lies within your company.
And I'm curious too, because when you think about martial arts, what are some of the things that you really love about it? Because it's obviously, I mean, you're very animated with it. You're very inspired by it. Like, you can tell it's one of those things that feeds your soul. So what do you really love about it?
Well, I think I've been an athlete all my life. Athletics is not very logical thing. I mean, who cares if this orange little ball goes in that hoop?
Yeah.
Does the world end if I do 10 in a row and all 10 of them miss, and I miss all?
We're all okay.
All 10 of them. What good does it? Does anybody get food that wasn't going to get food? Does anybody?
No.
No. It's kind of an enigma. The enjoyment of athletics and the feeling of accomplishment. that you get. But I think, I never thought of it this way till just talking to you, because this podcast is that it's a mini success. I want the ball to go through the hoop. I practice it. I've worked hard. And it goes. You get an instant flash, even if nobody sees it. You see it go through. An instant flash of success.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a goal. I accomplished it. It was successful. Some reason it's a good feeling.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We are creatures that evolved.
Yeah.
3 million years ago, we were living in caves, running around. Maybe we had clothes on, maybe we didn't. But
we didn't.
we're busting and fighting for food and everything. And we had to come together to work as a group, because one guy running around runs into a saber-toothed tiger, he's gone. But if we got like 10 guys with spears, now we might be eating that saber-toothed tiger. Yeah. So, we became community creatures. And I think we like playing team sports, right?
Yeah, we do. Working with people.
We like a group working together. There's something enjoyable about that. And also we want to push our bodies. We want to set goals and push our bodies. Like running a 100-yard dash, you want to knock off 0.6 of a second or something, and so you work at it. We get feelings of accomplishment, and they are kind of they don't relate to eating and feeding ourselves, but at one time it probably did. The speed of the hunter to catch a rabbit, let's say, meant you were going to eat and your children were going to eat that day. And so there was a survival reason to be fast, smart, timing, in shape. No longer today, but we're still creatures.
We love that achievement aspect.
It was like a long time to us, but probably for the universe, because we have
much time.
We have 3 billion years where we can look back in the past and see creatures that have our DNA.
Yeah,
that's as close as there are to us. But we only have 5,000 years of civilization, though. Do you know that's what they recognize? 5,000 years.
It's kind of wild. We're very young, in a sense. Very, very young. As you look at the age of the universe, which we don't even know, it's just beyond what we can understand.
Or there have been more than one civilization on this planet.
Highly possible. Yeah, or other planets. We just don't know. Like we can't have that level of information because it's such an infinite universe we live in.
I was a science major. My father was an engineer at the Kennedy Space Center.
No way.
If I had not done martial arts, I would have been working at the Kennedy Space Center. My dad was there, and my dad worked with all the original 7 astronauts. Because at that time we did not have a what they call a war. What do they call it? We didn't have a war race. We had a space race.
A space race, yes.
Oh, no, they call it arms race.
Okay.
We didn't have an arms race with nuclear weapons. We had a space race.
Yep.
So all the top engineers were all trying to how can we get to the moon first before the Russians get there?
Yeah.
Get there. Now, traveling in the world, we've learned, or they know, maybe they always knew it, sending a drone is better than sending a human. Because drones can do everything. You can test the soil. So we have drones on Mars. Do you know they tested Mars's, you can Google this, they tested the ground on Mars, and they found an isotope on Mars, I believe that's what they call it, that is only created in our minds through nuclear explosion. And it's all over Mars. It's all over Mars. Well, maybe there's another explanation, but I think they may have had a nuclear war on Mars, because they say there used to be water, there used to be ice caps, polar caps and things, and it was destroyed.
Yeah.
And maybe they came to this planet and terraformed it to match what they had at Mars. Now, at some point, they wanted to make sure their species, their DNA survived. So, and James Cameron made a movie about this called The Abyss.
Yep.
This alien race looked at our planet, and they live under the water.
Yeah.
All those flying saucers that are.
Oh, I remember that movie. It took me a second, but now I remember that movie.
Well, it deals with what I'm talking about, that we're sharing this planet with another highly technological beings, and they're from Mars. We basically, they took look at the difference between a monkey and a human. We look alike, right? But when we built a space shuttle on the moon, when are the monkeys going to get together and make one?
Yep.
They've been on here as long as we have. No, we're a different kind of thing. Somebody or something manipulated our DNA, and only 3 million years ago. Do you know that dinosaurs were the #1 form of life on Earth for 200 million years?
That's a really long time.
200 million. Right. You couldn't find humans running around, these mammals. But dinosaurs were a major form of life. One comet hit and got rid of them. But
Yeah.
the thing is, our science, the way we teach it, is not accurate. Something is wrong. We have amnesia or something, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
The pyramids are aligned with a set of 3 stars, and
They're
it's not where those
very-
stars are now.
They're
It's where
very
they were
specific.
15,000 years ago.
Yeah, because of all the shifts and the adjustments. Everything's
Well,
very specific with that, which
we
is
think-
fascinating.
Scientists think, not archaeologists, scientists think the pyramids were aligned with them. That means they were built 15,000 years ago. Now,
Yeah.
if we got all our architecture, all our engineers together today, we'd have a hard time building those 3 pyramids. There's some stuff on all through them.
Yeah.
And
Tunnels we're still discovering, by the way, we're still discovering them because of new technology where we're able to see them. We haven't even been able to find everything.
we
It's
are
actually
finding out
incredible.
more and more about Earth than we ever knew, because the satellites are taking pictures of us, and but those pyramids weren't made 5,000 years ago. 5,000 years ago, we had not invented the wheel.
Yeah.
We didn't know how to make a wagon. But you're telling me we constructed these 3 major. There's 2 million blocks, average 100 tons each, stacked on top of each other. And there's tunnels all through the pyramids.
Yes.
Okay, here's what when they go in there. There's a place called the King's Chamber. They go in there. They never found the king. No mummies have ever been found in the pyramids. And Tesla says they were built to they generate electricity. And he proved it at one of the world's fairs. He took the technology of the ancient pyramids and he made a tower that broadcast electricity. He held light bulbs up and they all lit up, and nobody was electrocuted. It was the ancient Egyptians had a science that we don't have now. We could have had, because Tesla has it, and the government took all his patents, took all his notes and everything, and his family couldn't even get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. When Tesla died, we don't know. He at a World's Fair, though, they say he held up light bulbs and they all lit up. In other words, he broadcast electricity just like we broadcast. We wouldn't have cell phones if it wasn't for Tesla.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
A genius. But anyway, gosh, I don't know how we got on that subject, but this is like a Joe Rogan podcast now.
It is what it is.
And he ends up on UFOs.
No, it is quite fascinating. And I think that also just attributes to the fact that I love business, but I recognize life is it's pretty expansive, and there's so many mysteries, so many things we don't understand. It's a humbling situation to look at the world, the universe as it is, and how small I am as like this tiny little whatever on this everything. And it is a very humbling circumstance, but it's also quite an inspiring thing to study, research, check in on, like look at what people are discovering about us and why we exist and why we're here and all the variables. What is consciousness, which is like,
what is it?
Is it in here? Is it out here?
I think, therefore I am. You have consciousness, therefore you exist. Now, you know what? That's the only thing in this 3-dimensional world that we live in that you can be sure of, is that you exist. But I may be a figment of your imagination. I may be a projection. I may be you may be living in a virtual world, like that's what Musk is saying now. He said, once we get to the point where we can literally beam information into your brain, the physical world, that's all the physical world is. information coming into our brain, our five senses. And we're going to reach that level of technology one day. Once we do that, we won't know the difference between one or the other. And people said, well, what happens when we don't know the difference? He goes, oh, we don't know if he said, well, because there will be no difference.
Yeah.
So it won't matter. The physical universe is not as real as your consciousness.
Yeah.
Because look, if you get an electron microscope and you look at yourself, you start looking, you're going to get to a point where you get cells, billions of cells. Then inside the cells, you see that, then it becomes what's just mathematical formula: neutron, proton, electrons.
Yep.
Spinning around. What are those? What is that? That's what you
I know.
So you're
I
not
know.
a solid object. There's a thing called a neutrino.
And
The sun. Luckily,
all of that, I
Oh,
was
right.
gonna say, all of that's functioning without us paying attention to it. All of the things,
right.
this is the most mind-blowing thing, is it's all doing, all the things you're talking about are doing everything it's supposed to do, and you're not even doing anything.
Our conscious is the weakest thing of our body. We can think one thought at a time,
Yeah.
slowly.
And
Whereas your subliminal
sometimes
mind is taking care of your
all of it.
temperature, it's digesting your food, it's everything's being done by your subconscious, subliminal.
Yep.
And only one slow and usually wrongful conscious thought is coming out of
Yeah. Which is really funny because sometimes that one thought can completely overtake us and all the other things are still functioning, but that one thought just shuts you down and you're like, what is going on? But yeah, our consciousness, it is a very powerful thing, but yeah, the subconscious is also pretty amazing. And no, I really think it's important to question these dynamics and dive into it and see what's really true. I took a course from a mentor of mine and it was really fascinating because he went over the Big Bang Theory and this was all the course was. It was 144 theories of the Big Bang Theory. And he did 144 of the pros of each of those theories, right? But then he also did 144 of the cons. And at the end of it, it really helped me to realize, it's like you say, like in science, we have so many gaps. Like I'm listening to this and I'm like, oh my gosh, we have so many gaps. Like a lot of this is subordinating to other people's information, but we just keep going off of it. And it's amazing how many gaps we have, but simultaneously how much we've also been able to discover and uncover. And I think just kind of keeping on top of it and seeing what comes out that's fresh and new. And as people learn, is really helpful.
former science major.
Yeah.
There are some concepts that Einstein couldn't answer. One is called, it's a famous experiment called the double slit experiment.
Is insane, by the way. Like, how is that happening?
Well,
right?
Look, Einstein, before he died, supposedly said, even though he never could believe what it indicates, the double slit experiment indicates that we're not living in reality. We're like virtual people.
For people who haven't watched it, just go on YouTube and there's a great video on it. It's amazing. Yep.
And what it says is, if you shoot one dot of light energy at a metal barrier with two slits, it will go through both slits at the same time. It will
one slit, the other slit,
pattern.
Both. Yeah, the wave of potential.
You're shooting one at a time. So it's literally, in our three-dimensional world, it's impossible.
Yes.
But every time it does it forms,
in the quantum world, it's possible.
A bunch of dots in a line. But what we get when they look on the other side, they see what they call a wave pattern. Yeah. That wave pattern is all the potential places the dot could have landed.
Yeah.
It's bizarre part of, and listen,
it's amazing.
That's not even a decent explanation. I'd probably flunk physics right now if there was a college level physics.
Well,
I just mean it is whatever is happening with that experiment happens every time.
Yeah.
All the time. And it shouldn't be happening.
The craziest thing about that, I've watched that so many times, that thing, by the way, because it's mind-boggling. The craziest thing about it is when the atom goes through and it becomes a wave of potential through these two solid states. The observer looks at it,
then it does exactly what, then it's like dots.
And it goes in, it's not a wave of potentials anymore.
Here's why I say that proves we're in a simulation. When my son plays a video game, he's always got a gun and he's shooting, he's running. Well, the only thing he can see is what's right directly in front of him at the moment. And when he's running, he's not really going anywhere. So there's really he's not covered any real, it's an illusion.
Yeah.
And so when we shoot the electrons, they're not landing as a dot because they're not real. It's just, they make a wave pattern on the other side.
Yeah.
They should make dots unless somebody observes it. Like you said, when it's being observed, then it does just the way you
Expect it. Yeah.
Just doing it like when it's on automatic, like they just have an automatic one electron shot shooting at a time, then it does not turn the same. The results are different. And
It's mind-boggling. And it makes you wonder, like what the power of our own intention truly is. It's like that power that we have of intention. It's like, what does that truly look like? We don't even know. I don't think we understand the power that it plays out in the world and the impact that our true intentions actually have. I mean, you watch that and you're like, I observe things all day, every day. What am I impacting?
I like using analogies like my most favorite part-time in history is the ancient Greeks.
Yeah.
Because here's what those guys, I'm talking about Socrates, Plato, they sat around and talked about what we're talking, the nature of the universe. And they had no machines, but Plato, and it's called Plato's Republic. He talked about the allegory of the cave.
Uh-huh.
And if you read the allegory, it's a short story. You take people and you tie them down in a cave and their face points towards the wall of the cave their whole lives. And outside the cave is daylight and people are walking across and they cast shadows on the wall. To you and all the other people, that's reality.
Yep.
Shadows. They don't know that big thing and then four things are moving is a camel.
Yeah.
They see the image of it. And that's us, you and I, with our senses and our education and the level of our brain. We're looking at that wall, meaning reality, and we're trying to figure out what's real and what's wrong. We're so far from what's really going on.
Yeah.
We don't know. We're just seeing the shadow of the horse and when a wagon goes by, these round things are moving, and then we as intelligence, as a group, we value the guy who sees every time he sees the two-legged thing, soon he'll see that big wheel come behind and he can predict it.
Yeah.
Because he's memorized, on certain every other day. So that's what we call intelligence. Guys who can look at something that's not real and be successful at looking at it, predict and deal with it and whatever. And so that's not real. That's not wisdom. Wisdom is the proper use of knowledge, or it's a level above. He's high IQ. Because I bet you Hitler had a high IQ.
I don't doubt it.
He was a little colonel who almost, if he wasn't a little insane, almost took over the world. You and I speak German right now.
I would not have the life that I have today. I would be a very different circumstance. Yeah, I've recognized that.
Hitler had won the world, and he's just one guy.
He's one guy.
So it's not. There's all kinds of intelligence. And I tell people, you and I trying to figure out the nature of the universe is like two ants on a piece of paper. And on that piece of paper, somebody wrote a calculus problem.
Yeah.
And the ants are running around, and the ants can tell where there's lead and where there's no lead. They're running there. They're looking for food. They're doing all kinds of ant things. When are those two ants going to solve the calculus problem?
That's how it feels. That's how it feels. That's what I feel like.
What you and I are doing is we recognize that there's a thing called eternity. Like time is a concept. Time is not real. It's a concept that here's what people say. They said, we invented time Otherwise, everything happens at once, or whatever. But it's like we recognize it by second by second. But think about what time is.
It's also eternal. We're not going to be around.
Time is connected to movement. If nothing moved in the universe, everything froze, how would you tell time?
Yeah.
Time,
which is wild, by the way.
It's things moving. And so what we get is we make a clock and we have it click second by second. My thing just said low battery.
Oh, did it? Okay. Well, this may be the perfect time. We're technically gone over, but this is amazing. This has been amazing.
So just chop it up. Like I said, just
that's okay. I really love this. Before we lose you, I want to make sure. Thank you so much for coming. I know we went a little bit off topic. It's about to lose battery, but also on topic.
Look, you're gonna have you're a podcast that brings people in, but like Joe Rogan, he started. It was just about UFC.
Yeah. Well,
now it's about everything but the UFC.
About everything. But I think this is crazy because it actually ties to what we talked about in the beginning. Because, the Greeks also believed in teleology and our purpose and the end in mind. And what we've been talking about today is it's like we don't know how long we have on this planet. We don't know what we're doing, really. We don't know why we're here. Like, we actually really don't know any of that. But what we do know is that there are certain things that fuel us. There are certain things that inspire us. And those things are really worth investing time and energy in. Really worth dedicating your life to. And I really feel like that's the conversation that we've also got to have today. So I would love listeners to know where they can find you if they want to connect.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay. Social media. Now I put on other things. It was like a personal assistant at one time. She put me on a bunch of other things, but I don't maintain them. They like self download or whatever. Anyway, I do Facebook, and you just go Don Wilson. You don't leave. There's some Don the Dragon Wilson, but anybody can open up a Don Wilson fan page.
Yeah.
And so there's many of them, but I'm holding a microphone. I was at a film festival and I said, I'll just take a picture and then I can tell everybody, oh, go to Facebook and I'm holding a microphone.
Yes.
I was at a film festival giving a interview and that's my picture. So that's the one. Of course, I got the 5,000 friends like in a week. So like 30,000, but a follower, there is absolutely no difference between a follower and a friend because it's a completely open page. It is not a page for business. It's just personal. I've been spouting off a lot of political things recently, which I don't normally do because, but I almost feel responsible now because we got a democracy, which means we're supposed to participate, and you can't complain about what's happening with the government if you didn't even vote.
That's true. I don't disagree. Yeah, I don't disagree.
Just so I can complain that I don't like voting. I don't want people to just get blown up in the ocean when they're excuse me, Hegseth and the government. They're the relatives of some of the people on those boats are suing them because they're saying their father's been using one of the boats that got blown up as a fishing boat his whole life.
Yeah.
So she decided this time to load it full of cocaine. Oh, how come in a mansion then? No, it makes no sense. And this is why we have laws that we have to have evidence before we kill people.
Yeah.
And not just a guy ratting them out like saying, hey, I heard a rumor there's going to be a drug boat or whatever. Maybe he didn't even like the guy. And then we send jets and they just blow him up. I mean, everybody in the military is saying it's illegal.
Yeah.
It's illegal.
Yeah.
Because look, when you blow up the thing, the two guys survived. And this is all on record now. It's all going to come out. People are going to go to jail probably. They finished them off. What you're supposed to do is rescue them. Even though they're the enemy. Even though they're the enemy. If we see them and they're drowning and they have no guns, they're no danger to anybody, which they weren't.
Yeah.
They, instead of rescuing them, they were ordered to finish them off.
Yeah.
It's America. That's America under Trump. And I don't see how, I don't understand these Americans that say, yeah, this is the way it should be.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I haven't quite heard that story yet. I am going to research it, so I'd like to look into that.
Now, that's the latest thing that happened is...
Definitely. I'm going to go check into that because I actually want to find more details on that.
Survived the initial Now illegal things are happening to the U.S. government. But anyway, this success in business, that is part of life, and it is important because you know what, if I couldn't afford to buy well, my wife gave me this iPhone, but we couldn't communicate if we didn't have certain amount of. That's part of life. You have to have a certain amount of financial success. That's
Absolutely.
And
so, to enjoy it as well, to the various things that it offers us.
I test that you have different areas, how people got successful, because you can't deny a little bit successful as a kickboxer. And I did the movie thing. So I've had some success, and I hope people will be inspired to do their own, get their own successful things.
Me too.
I told them that helped me to do it. It can help anybody.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much again for sharing all this information. I really appreciate it. I'll have his Facebook link in the show notes, so if anyone can't find it, you won't miss out on it. And I look forward to the next show as well. Thanks again, Don.